This stuff Yom Yerushalmi in the article Osbar edition where Daf Tesvav Manav, right? The second line says Meisei B'Shem Ben Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, although we're going to change that. So I'm unfortunately due to Meisei Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Shem Ben Lakish. So the in the Vilna that it's 17 lines to the bottom of Chesed Beis. Again, it says Meisei Rabbi Shem Ben Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan, but we're going to change that. As I said, unfortunately, change it to Meisei Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Shem Ben Lakish. But then we learn Higdishon Ad Shelo Nigmar. Excuse me, Makdish. The it says later on in well, it says in Perek Dal Mishneh, and later on Perek Gimel Mishneh Dal. Higdishon Shelo Nigmar Malachta and Garman Gizbar Chaka B'Don Niftar Mimaisa De Miruach Gizbar. So the even though it start off Cholin and end of Cholin, but in the middle of the Miruach was De Gizbar, so it's putter from Shumas Maisrus. So the but then this is nigmar begomen Gizbar v'chaka b'dayim p'turin. Gizbar k'acheru. Gizbar is somebody else. It's interesting. Avamina. He's not the owner. He's just a treasurer. So how come his miruach can exempt the grain from Trumas and Maisrus? So the Gemara says again. It's going to be in the Gizbar is considered to be a Bailim, which is, I think, the general assumption. Lok Rabbi Yossi, and that's like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, who Gizbar Uacher? He also Gizbar is just a third party, not the actual Bailim at the time. This is again Trumas, Perek Aleph, Halach Aleph. Chanani Chavran the Rabbanan, the friend of the rabbis. I'm not sure Rav Kahana just got Kahana, and Rabbi Chanani got Chavran the Rabbanan and an honorific Rebbe. Must have been a reason for that. So the I feel boy, yes, I feel yesh b'shal achas men kashir. So what was I going to say before about the women who gave to the baker to make for them sourdough? That it should be, why is not chai b'chal, because the baker put them together. It's if eventually they're going to be taken apart, it's not nigmar malachto, so it's not a chiyuv, it shouldn't be chiyuv chala. Even if it has one of them as a shear, he has to go over shalom ram malachto. It should be something like that. It was the gemar malachto hasn't taken place yet, because eventually it's going to be right up again. You put them in a chala, should be exempted from chala. Tam Rabbi Yossi Shem Rabbi Zira, Yen Rabbi Zira Shem Rabbi Lazar. Here's the name Rabbi Zira, and some say Yen Rabbi Zira is the name Rabbi Lazar. Avamesh belagin lo nitbal. A Mishnah in Maisrus, Perek Zayin Mishnah base. Wine which you took out of a wine press with a ladle is not hooked for the Maiser, because you're going to put back whatever's left in the ladle after you taste it into the press. So so too, since eventually it's going to divide it up, the fact that the nachdom combined them should not be considered to be mechai v'chala. Yeah, the issue is it's not going to be go back to something which is not nigmar malachto, and the Gemara does not resolve this question, leaves it difficult. Okay, Esu Isas Klavim. What is considered to be dog dough? Rabbi Shimon Lakish Amar Kol Shir Bab Mursan. Anytime when you mix bran into it, and evidently the amount of bran, I guess a little bit of bran can be okay, but now the bran, and there was so much that normally shepherds only give them to dogs, not the shepherds. He says mancha roim ochlim imenu. So because the Mishnah says when the shepherds eat from it, it sounds like sometimes the shepherds do eat it and sometimes they don't eat it. Well, there would evidently be a case of the amount of bran, depending on the amount of bran which it has. It's a different definition of what Isa Clever is. That you, when you made it, if you made it ka'achin, which is, actually I read it wrong, kosher ka'avin, thick. Then made it like bread, which is nicely set, like other types of bread, then it's chayiv. If it's not made like other types of bread, it's made, I guess, in a way which only would be pleasing to dogs. So then it's not considered. It's then zis clothing. The Thai came also in the Bible. Also, oven if you made it thick, chayaves. It's chayav made limudim, which is like just like simple boards, and it's not, it doesn't look like bread. Then it's patur. But B'Shem Shmuel Rabbi Ami B'Shem Rabbi Chia said B'Shem Rabbi Chia Ruba B'Shem Rabbi Chia the Great said I feel also kluskin. Even if you made it very very nice, kluskin is like a very nice roll, and evidently you didn't put in bran either. Once you designated them for the purpose of dogs, has the status of dog though. It's part of the challah. What did we learn? Im ein aroim ochlim mimeno. What do you mean? He made it like that. Why wouldn't the shepherd eat it? And I remember Mishnah said it depends whether the shepherd would eat it or the shepherd wouldn't eat it. You're right. It's talking about where you initially made it for the purpose of dog eating it, and not that the shepherd should eat. Then that's the definition of what's going to be Isas Klavim. If it's what the original intent was. So we have three shittas. Rabbi Shimon says it has to do with the amount of bran. Rabbi Yochanan says it has to do with the shape of the bread. And Rabbi Chia Ruba, who says it has to do with the original intent at the time that you made it. Okay, Mishnah says the nas is beyontif. If the shepherds will even make it, can be made beyontif. Ochli mimena, nas is beyontif. Masis Rabbi Shimon Lazar. So our mission when it says when the shepherds eat it can be made yontif, and the inference is says mancha roin ochlim mimena, not bizmancha ochlim osa. They eat from it and not it. So it sounds like if even if the shepherds only going to eat a part of the dough and the rest are going to give to the dogs, so you're also allowed to bake the part for the dogs as well. So our mestizo Shimon was a tiny enosim yontif lemotzei yontif. It's a tosefta and beis perik beis tosefta gimel. It's put on the Bavli Yud Zayin Alf. You can't bake on yontif for the person of tzei yontif. For tani, and yet we learn concerning this mali isha der basar. A woman can fill an entire pot full of meat. Abi sheinu chamelek chaticha achas. Even though she's ultimately going to eat from it only one piece. Kumum chamin, a pot of hot water, even though only going to end up drinking 1 cup. Aval, it says lofos here, but it's supposed to be lefos. Osa, to bake, ain't no ofa el tzarka, she only can bake what is necessary. Because since each loaf requires a lot of tircha independently, so therefore whatever loaf she makes size of what she needs, that's not allowed. So I've less in ofel tzarka, but then we take out the word ditani or asuli in the ground maybe fine. Shimon says Mimala, yeah, you should have pass. No, you're allowed to bake more bread than you need. You should pass the oven because the more full the oven, the better the bread. So therefore, here too, our mission allows you to make for the dogs, besides that which you're making for the men. Must go to Shimon Lazar, who says you're allowed to add on because it's better for the bread for the people if you also have that bread, which is included even for the dogs. Okay, it says the Gemara. We looked at Brisa, as you brought down in Yerushalmi Shabbos, Berkut Gimel, and Bavli Balkama, Tzayidal, and Sejin Vav. Matzuk Zula, very famous actually. Matzuk Asal Varachaleh. You're not allowed to make a bracha on matzah which is stolen. We learned that for a pasuk. Rabbi Yeshua Hashem Botzeh Berach Nietz Hashem. Botzeh is language of Gezela, as we learned from Mishlei Alef Yutes. Chein Orchos Kol Botzeh Betza. And somebody who's Botzeh, who steals, Uberech, and makes a bracha, blasphemes Hashem. Rabbi Yossi said, Hadot Etem Betchila. That's initially. That's Avol. But at the end, if it's after Yush and Shina Rishus, such as if the Goslin acquired it by Yush, and then Shina Rishus or Yush and Shina Rishus, they require a third person. Okay, so then there's already a Kenyan, and therefore you can be yaitz with the chiv of matzah. Because Av of itself, after Yishin Rishus, the halacha is all you have to pay is the original value to the owner. You don't have to make restitution of the new object. So therefore, at that point, you can be Yaitse Yichiv Matzah. Rabbi Yochanan ain't aver mitzvah. It says no. The something which is an avera, you can't make it into a mitzvah, such as a stone lulav. The you can't make it into a mitzvah. But in this case over here, as the Farshim point Yerushalmi has pointed out, that's he still would hold that once there's a shinu, it's okay. Rabbi Yossi Omer, a mitzvah avera. It says a mitzvah cannot be an avera, meaning since the mitzvah matzah has a tzad avera, you can't be yotze even after yishin shinu rishus. Rabbi Yossi says eila mitzvos. The reason Rabbi Yossi is because eila mitzvos. Imas yosaka mitzvos, if they're made like mitzvahs properly, so it's according to halacha. Hey mitzvahs, lav, and if not, eila mitzvahs, they're not mitzvahs. Now that's the Rav Fulda and others who say that. A lot of Carbon 8 and Yerushalmi and the Pnei Moshe here, but the Ribaz, and there is evidence Ribaz learns that it's just a question of the language, and that he also holds that once the sheni took place, you actually are Yossi with it. Okay, now this really brings us only to the actual bottom of Tesvav on the base, and it's a short day, but since there's 9 of us, a new Mishnah, we'll stop here for today.